we had. I'm going to lead into how we got to where we are today, and I'm going to distinguish what Texas is operating, and we have a lot in common with LP Ohio and LP Colorado and LP Nevada, as I learned from Brett Pajunas at the first session this afternoon. But we've moved in a somewhat different direction, and we're going even further. I'm going to take great care to distinguish when we get to the live system of what is working now and what is coming up. So I want to distinguish between what some people might think, oh, that must be vaporware. Well, it ain't, but we're going to make that distinction. So 5 years ago, our data, 25,000 odd records or so, every contact that we could get our hands on, was managed on a laptop in an Access database by one person, a data manager, who was really dedicated. He spent, I don't know how many hours, in making sure, keeping that master record data current. And importantly, both he and our treasurer happened to live in the same town and not too far away from one another. And he would periodically get together with our treasurer, because you've got the master contact records here, and you have a separate set of those who donated sitting over here in QuickBooks, okay? You gotta be in sync, but there's no connection between the two. This is not a electrical connection. This is the two of them getting together all the time. And basically our data manager would sit down with our treasurer and they'd reconcile stuff. He did a lot of work to make that happen. So as far as the rest of the party knew, hey, everything's fine. We don't have to worry about anything. And over on the treasurer side, he was responsible for revenue donor records, not folks who had just asked for a newsletter or request information or volunteer run for office and so on. They were there. But if they donated, he had the information. He also was responsible for our Texas Ethics Commission, which is like your elections, whatever the regulatory requirement are for donations, for national, as the Federal Elections Commission, $200 in Texas, happened to be $50. You don't know in January when you accept a $10 donation for somebody whether he's going to have exceeded the $50 threshold by December. So we report it all. Anyway, that was coming out of not directly out of QuickBooks, but an associated script that one of our treasurers wrote. And of course, the primary thing, the financial statements that come out of QuickBooks. That thing worked really fine until one day in about September 2010, this guy moves on to bigger and better things, helping national, so forth, and he exits the picture. And the function transferred to a different person. Where's page down? There it is. And all of a sudden, the frequent contact is broken. The data manager now resides in Galveston County, 150 miles away from Austin. And this close association that had existed kind of filtered away. Otherwise, Access was replaced by a Linux-based Texas data tables. That wasn't in and of itself an issue, but things started to change. And, and things went to hell in a handbasket by early 2011, which is the time I began to be involved as a volunteer executive director, so I've seen all this thing firsthand. This diagram, which you cannot see, I know it as the spaghetti diagram. Pat Dixon, our chair, knows it as, what is it, the spider web, yeah. And I know you can't see it, but just so that you can see an approximation. There's 52 different steps that were going on in this former data manager's head in terms of keeping things. I got to blow this up so you can just get an idea. By the way, I have the, okay. So Pyrrhix donations go through a certain process, and PayPal go through a slightly different process and so forth, and Texas Ethics Commission requirements and so forth. Anyway, you get the idea. It's a mess, and if anybody is really interested in the details of the mess, I will donate to you the document, which is where you can read it all. But use 52 steps. Anyway, it was a really complicated process, didn't work very well. Anytime the treasurer said, where the heck are we with this donor, we had this going on. And he couldn't get his hands on any good information at all. And in January of 2013, he'd finally had enough, tasked a 5-member IT committee to fix this mess. And 5 of us worked on the project for roughly 6 months in the first half of 2013. And a couple of people here, Jeff, a couple of people here were at the LSLA Denver 13 months ago. And at that time, Nathan Clefman of LP Texas and I presented how we went through our requirements definition process, how we went through a selection process, how we evolved at a decision that we, the IT committee, were going to recommend for something to fix this thing. And what came out of that, functionally, before I go into the details, is, as I said, we adopted something based on Joomla as a front end, quote unquote, and CiviCRM as a quote back end, but not quite the same as Ohio, and definitely not the same as Colorado, and definitely not the same as Nevada. But let me explain what's going on here. Everything except financial statements moved off the QuickBooks entity. The treasurer ends up going forward with access. Multiple people need access to our back end, CiviCRM, the business system. So it doesn't matter that he, anywhere. It doesn't matter that he lives someplace in East Texas. He's not here. It doesn't matter. Wherever he is, he can access the contact records, all of them, including revenue donor records, which are part of the business system, okay? It doesn't matter that our treasurer lives in Wimberley, Texas, south of Austin, in the country somewhere. It doesn't matter that our executive director lives in Waco, halfway between Austin and Dallas. It doesn't matter that I live in Houston. It's irrelevant. We all have access to this. And also, when the revenue, when we finish one more step, we will start TEC reporting off the CiviCRM system. So all that QuickBooks ends up doing, or it could be any financial, we're just talking about a financial system. That's the overall structure of where we have moved to. And here is one of the results of what's happening. Why do all this stuff? It's not just to provide accurate information to our chair or any other authorized interested party. What's happened is that our revenue, $40,000 in the first 5.5 months, this is as of last week, $40,000 in the first 5.5 months last year has more than doubled this year. Is it all due to the system? No, there's three main reasons. This is one of them. It contributes to it. And I think, I got no empirical data to back this up, but I think in the first 5.5 months of 2015, we're going to go through the roof. That's an opinion, may not be. In addition to the doubling of the amount of our donations, our donor base, those individuals who have contributed in the prior 12 months, is up 134%. So something good is going on, and how much of it is due to the new system can be discussed. But I wanted to say that before I get into the system, that those of us who are involved in it are really bullish on this whole thing. Okay, I want to get into a system. Where is it? We're going into the live system. I don't know where this system is. I see LAX manage the cloud on the thing, so I guess it's Los Angeles. I don't know where I think the cloud is. I don't know anything about clouds, but and the reason I want to go into it, one of the reasons, administration. Uh-oh, don't like that. Try again. Okay. Try this again. I can use two volunteers, people who have people who have an internet connection on their laptop. And what I would ask either volunteer to do.
Earlier today, there was a hard line up there.
Oh, if there is, well, in that case, if there's a Ethernet connection, I got that port on my laptop, but it doesn't look to me because I tested the internet in the back there. I don't think that's the issue, but that's fine. But I want to just get several things going here. I want one person to donate online to LP Texas $10 because I want to show you what happens in the back end live. Who has a laptop who is willing to donate? I'll pay you $10. I want somebody to donate $10 to LP Texas. Who's got a laptop and has internet access who's willing to do this? Okay. The second volunteer, I would like to volunteer. I want someone with internet access to act as if they are volunteering for something at LP Texas, which means filling out a form online. Because I want to show you what happens to it. And this speaks to the integration between the front end and the back end, which, as I understood from Nevada earlier today, as I know with Colorado, doesn't occur. Does anyone else have internet access who would be a volunteer? Great, thank you. Go up on lptexas.org, click the instructions. There's no rush on this. When you're finished and you hit submit, we will see something change on the presentation. Okay. Well, first of all, it says that my 5 bars are there, google.com. What happens? Oops, I guess I ought to spell Google correctly. And damn it, excuse my French. This thing just seems to jump around you. I know it's not found. I apologize. Okay, let me try and get it this way. I don't like that. Let's try the National LP website. Oh, okay, so there's a continue to the internet. So even though I have my bars, or had my 5 bars, I really don't have it. This thing works fine in my room. I don't know what on convention center. I thought this was served by a different thing than convention center. But whatever works. Let me try again. Not google.com. No.
Try that one.
It's looking. Okay, good. So I'm going into a production system. Again, the front end is Joomla, the back end is Civi CRM, and I'm going to ignore almost everything to do with the website because you can see it online, and sort of most everybody knows what a website is. The new things that you'll see here, really a product of the back end. So all these icons, all 15 of these things, all have to do with how you manage the front end. And the one here at the bottom, Civi CRM, which is where I'm going into, is our portal into the back end. And so this is the system right now. I'm going to be jumping around here and just making a presentation. If you have questions, just write them down because we're going to have a half hour at the end to get in anything you want. But at a 30,000 foot level, I want first of all in the back end to identify, I'm seeing connecting here, but it's not coming up very fast. I guess,
It's really slow here.
is it slow?
Yeah.
Internet? Okay. Well, I paid $10 into my room to go Zoom, but I guess this, you get free and it doesn't work very fast. This is not good because I want to get fast through this thing. Okay. So, find contacts. If I don't put any limiting or filtering criteria on this and just hit find or search, whatever it's search, which I just did, and now we're waiting for that darn thing to come through, it's going to pull up an index, if you will, of all the contact. Did you make a donation? Okay, well my Outlook client's probably going to ping in a minute and tell me about it because I'm doing something else. As soon as I finish this, we're going to look at your donation. Anyway, there are 32,932 records in the back end right now, starting with Mr. Ackerland, Aardvark as I call it, finishing with, in alphabetical order, I don't know, ZZ Top or something like that if I turn this thing upside down. But anyway, there are 32,000 records in the database. That's at the 30,000 foot level. If I look at transferring data, I'm going to cut out some examples here because it's not moving very fast. So the last guy in the database, Z something, boy, it's taking a while. Okay, Al Zylowski. So between Aardvark, whatever his name was, and Zylowski, about 32,000 records. At the 10,000 foot level, one of the things that we frequently need to do, like all of our organizations, our basic building block is the county. There are 254 of those in Texas, and of those 32,000 records, how do they break out between any of the counties? And let's see, Arthur Thomas from San Antonio is here for the moment before he gets access to this thing for his county. I just want to pull up Bexar County records, Bexar to those of you who are not Texans, but Bexar to those of us who happen to live around there somewhere. Bexar, some folks say. So give me all the records for Bexar County. So I've limited it, and I'll have a lot less than 32,000 records. Okay, so there's 1,817 records in this one particular county. Among the things that we may wish to do in terms of actions, I can select some or all of them, and I can perform actions, such as I can export the contacts, such as I can schedule or send a mass mailing, and a bunch of other things. But it's in the database, and I can perform multiple actions. The last thing I'm going to do, at the 5,000 foot level before we get down to ground zero is I'm going to identify a specific group of individuals who happened to donate for this project a year ago. There's only 19 of them, I think, so I can work with them much more easily to show you, and I can actually get into a contact record. I'm saying, give me all of the directed purpose donors. They're all listed on the website. At the bottom of our website, in the footer, there's something called acknowledgements. It's a hot link. You click it and the 19 names come up. But what you don't have is what you have here, which is all the basic information. These are not contact records, but the information comes from a contact record. So that I can see that Mr. Thomas over there, who's sitting in the third row, and who's last alphabetically here, happens to have been one of the donors. Now, all these names that are in blue are hyperlinks to the actual contact record itself, which is where we're going to go, which is where probably the most valuable single component of it is a contact record. And if I select anybody but myself, I might be providing some confidential information. So I'm just going to select my own record because I don't care. I don't have anything confidential that I care about. And this is a basic contact record in Civi. It looks the same with LP Ohio. It looks the same, as far as I know, in LP Nevada, Colorado. It's out of the box. There's nothing in this top. My Outlook just told me I got an email, and I'll bet you it says there's a donation or a volunteer, and we'll look at that as soon as I finish this part of the overview. Contact record. This is the guy, across the top, the Civi CRM navigation bar allows any number of functions. But the core contact record, name, nickname, over there, phone number, guess I need to come down. The structure of this is all you download it. It's a free download. You don't have the data. Right down to this line here is all standard stuff. So we know what the guy's email address is. He happens to have a second email address that he uses. He happens to have a website. Again, because it's blue, I didn't mean to do that. Cancel. I don't like this laptop, but that's my problem. And we can tell, if we want to, going out to the website, oh, okay, this guy is, he's running for Congress in South and West Houston, or south and west of the city of Houston. And again, back to the main contact record, where he lives now, his billing address is the same as home address, phone number, and so forth. And so you have the navigation bar at the top, the basic contact information in the middle, and something we'll get to a little bit later on, which are custom tables. This is what libertarianizes the standard thing that comes from a Civi. We can perform actions with respect to any one or any collection of contacts. If we select actions, you will see we can send an email out of here, schedule a meeting, schedule a phone call, add a contribution manually, register for an event. We can do these kinds of things that you want to do with all contacts. And just for the hell of it, we will go to send an email. Those of you who were here at 12:45 heard Brett say that they use MailChimp. Well, I've got to be distinguished what's working and what's coming on. LP Texas uses Constant Contact right now. Next month we will be using this Civi mail system, and I'll tell you what, we need to make sure we have it set up so we're not on blacklists and so on. We want to make sure that it's tested properly. So anyway, this is an email template. It seems to be taking a fair amount of time to paint. Maybe it's thing. I'm sorry, I'm going to select it. You can see down here all this WYSIWYG stuff, which is common to most of these mail programs. In order to save time, I'm just going to select the sample so you get a feel on the Civi CRM. In this particular case, I'm sending an email to myself. I could send an email to the gentleman over there as soon as I see he's contributed to our thing. We can do the usual, make the stuff bold and so forth, and do the normal things. But this is the value of this mail capability is not that it's any different from MailChimp or iContact or Constant Contact or Vertical Response. The value is that it's integrated and a part of the contact record. So if our executive director, a year from now, the person that we sent this thing to calls up and has a question, she knows immediately by pulling up the record the entire history, and she can access it pretty quickly. And we'll get to that with attributes in a minute. In fact, maybe we'll do it right now. leave page. I'm not actually going to send this email to myself. What I want to do is see what that ding was. Oh, it's a it's a person in Fort Bend County, Texas. Okay, well, I haven't seen it. I'm going to look in contributions. The gentleman says he donated 10 bucks. Let's see if he really did. I'm going to jump across, I'm going to contributions, and I'm going to go to find contributions, and it just happens the way we have it set up, the most recent contribution will appear in the system. And I'm not going to put any limiting criteria on it. I just say, give me all the contributions most recent first. And he says that we have received a $17.76. Are you Daniel Hayes?
Nope, the next one.
Okay. Oh, Kevin Ludlow. Kevin. Well, of course, I've seen all your stuff. I should know you. I should know you by now. Okay. Well, that just means that someone has. So anyway, on June the 26th at 3:16 p.m. and you're saying what's going on here? It's 4:16 p.m. Our system is on Central Time. Okay. But I know that I've seen what you have put out in terms of your own candidacy. I'm aware of who you are, but I never met you until right now. And if I'd known you were from Texas, I would have asked for somebody else because I want to get the thing. We have never met before today, right? Okay. So I don't know anything about the system, but what he put in there. And again, I can go to Kevin Ludlow's record and find out some information.
If you want somebody that's not from Texas, I actually did them, so you can just use me twice.
Okay. Well, when you've done your volunteer, I'm going to know everything about you, including where the heck in Louisiana. Anybody who says parishes, I know isn't from Texas or anyplace else, so I know you're a Louisianan.
But I did fill in county as Jefferson.
Oh, okay. Then I'm glad because we don't have parish. Presumably, all of our constituents come from a county. So here is Kevin Ludlow's basic contact information. I didn't have to key it in. And that's important. Even LP National, whose front end website, I do not want to close. I'm sorry, this is jumping around. I need to calmly move this thing and so forth. Even our national site, the website is built in Drupal, not Joomla. That's great. There are a lot of benefits to that. Their back-end system, Razor's Edge, is not integrated with the front end. So when they get this same thing, say that Kevin donates $10 to LP National, they'll collect that information, or volunteers or something, but they re-keyboard the information into their back end. I mean, there's a double entry thing going on here. So they're not integrated as this system is. But I know without lifting a finger and not even knowing who the donor is, this particular time, maybe this is the notification. Maybe my Outlook is only polling every, I got the wrong thing here. Maybe it's only polling every, okay, Daniel Hayes. Daniel Hayes. Volunteer, Sean Levasseur. Are you Sean?
I am.
But wait a minute, you don't have your laptop there. Oh, you did it on your mobile, okay. The system knows everything, okay, and that's fine. And so you have, it says you are a volunteer. Let me jump to the system and see what the system knows about you as soon as I finish this financial transaction and seeing what we know about Kevin Ludlow. There's the basic contact information here. There are a couple of things that we want to know, even if we don't know anything else. Under basic voter info, I want to know what county the person comes from. And in this particular case, it said county, not country, but Kevin put in USA. That's fine. He could have put, you're from Travis County, right? No, that's okay. That's fine. But the point is, we need the county. That's an exception. We'll just go in through and edit it. We can do this manually to correct it. The point is, we need to know the county for everybody. And the standard Civi CRM for nonprofits, they don't care what county you're from. Only when you're shopping through a shopping cart and there might be a tax associated with a county, at that point, a retailer might want to know the county. But so it's in custom data down here. All this stuff is custom data. The other piece of custom data happens to be contributor. We have to report to the Texas Ethics Commission. I think this is pretty uniform across the states. What's your occupation? What's your employer? We're obligated to use our best efforts to collect this information. And I can see that Kevin is in software and works for Citicorp LLC. That's what he's represented. And that's the information that's going to go in on the Texas Ethics Commission report. So those are some things that I know about Kevin. I'm going into, let's see, find contacts, to the most valuable thing for me, having been working this thing, and I'm going to go to a group of potential volunteers. I don't know if we're going to accept Daniel as a volunteer, but we'll see what he says. Again, I can perform any actions. We have a total of 56 people since we turned this part of the system on last November. And we didn't bring up all the different elements until it finished doing it, get all the data loaded until April. But for new transactions, it goes back.
I request you, Joe. I get too much going on.
We'll get to you too, but I just want to use the example about integration, okay? So of the 56 records, again, I don't know anything about, shoot, now I forgot your first name, sir, or your last name.
Levesque.
Levesque.
L-E-V.
Okay, Levesque, Sean. And you're from Maine.
Yeah. So,
without any action, the system knows of someone who's just put on the website. This is a big deal, not to have to re-keyboard the integration. It's one of the distinguishing things between how Colorado runs its system, because if you want to volunteer in Colorado, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, you will send an email to somebody saying, I want to volunteer, and then the dialogue will begin. But is that substantially right, or am I out of date on that?
well, I guess it depends on the vector.
Okay. Well,
but we do want to have a human contact with them because that really does improve retention.
I agree. I'm not proposing not to have human contact. I'm saying before the human contact even takes place, I know what Sean's phone number is, where he lives in Rockland, Maine, and I know some information about him. Volunteer fields. I know, and he had the option to fill this out on his form, he tells me he's interested in attending local events and he hasn't filled anything else out in terms of the radio questionnaire on our website. But he might be a Second Amendment gun rights activist, he may be an end the Fed, he may be a supporter of decriminalization of marijuana, whatever the particular issues are, I know from what's being filled out, and when I call him, we have a basis for conversation straight away. I don't have to have a canned speech necessarily. My favorite in this project is I love people who go ahead and check, I have IT experience. Because, and this is, so we got 54 people, and about a dozen of them, or 15 of them, have checked the box, I have IT experience. When I've got my email client set up so it pings when this thing happens, I call them right up. They haven't even left their computer. Hi, Charlie, my name is Rob Lapham, LP, Texas. I see you have IT experience. What? You know, who is, and so forth. And I said, well, I just saw that. And I want to know what kind of IT experience he has, because if it's in Joomla or Civi, or it's anything to do with our IT, I want to talk to that person, because if he's willing to volunteer and he has the necessary skill set, this is a real help. So all I'm saying is I agree with you completely that there has to be personal contact with, but it's immediate. I can call Sean, who's left, too late already, but I can call a donor before they've even left their computer and say thank you for your donation. Our executive director does that all the time. She sends out letters and so on, but she is acknowledging the donation. What a better way to start a relationship than to say thank you for your donation. I think we all have a sense that when someone expresses an interest in our respective libertarian parties, what's important is to get back to them right away, as opposed to they express some interest and they don't hear anything. I mean, that's a lost effort if you don't respond. Knowing what county the person comes from helps in terms of about 60 of our 254 counties right now are organized. We need to do a better job and get more. This is from Texas Voter Database, and you're not in Texas. And your county is also the United States, Sean, so maybe we need to make that bigger letters. It says county, not country, but maybe we're not doing a good enough job of making that thing. But usually we have the county. Okay, I just wanted to give, excuse me, offer that example. As I mentioned before, there's a navigation bar in Civi. There's also attributes. I'm going to go back to my record because we don't have any attributes from Sean except that he's volunteered. And there's only been one entry. And also with Kevin, he's made one donation. But everything I try out in this system, I run it on my own contact record first to see if it's doing what I think it should do, because I'm not I don't have heavy IT experience. It happens that I have made 23 contributions since last November. 34 activities, of which 23 of them are contributions. If I click activities, I know, or the staff member or executive director knows immediately, because all information has to be in one place. And as you can see a pattern here, a bunch of $10 donations. The system doesn't accept donations of less than $10. So, I'm sorry, yeah.
What is the platform you guys use for donations? Is that something specific to Drupal and Civi, or?
When you click donate on our website, which is Joomla driven, that form right now is generated by Civi. We configure it in Civi, and I can show that to you, but I want to finish this canned presentation first, and then you ask questions. I'll show you exactly how but it is generated in Civi. And it also generated in Civi is the instruction on what to do with that $10 charge. It goes out to Authorize.net, a Visa company, which charges his credit card immediately and moves it on to a merchant processor through the ACH for 2 days, and 2 days later it's in our bank account less the discount. 2.19% plus 25 cents an item.
Yeah,
happens
it's maybe slightly off your topic. We can get to it later.
I'm sorry, okay.
I was more so worried about like who the processor is and how it's linked.
Okay, and I'll address processor. Let me just finish a fast overview, and then I really do want to entertain questions, because I'd like everybody who, I'd like you to see what's working now. So, events, relationships, groups, notes, tags, change log. I've changed this record for me 80 different times in the last 6-7 months. That's just because I keep testing things. But both that and the activities where it just was, and I'll go back to it. Why am I seeing that? I don't know what I just did. This cursor jumps around a bit, and I'm not too happy with that, but that's my problem. There's an audit trail in here. As long as we have, okay. I'm not going to show this. I can't seem to get it to do what I think it should do. There's 34 activities. That's funny, the bullets and there's an overlap here, so, oh, there it is. Okay, so now I think it's okay, will give me my activities. Yeah. So, and this has to do, actually, all 80 change things. I have here sent myself a sample newsletter, actually sent it off on June the 24th a couple of days ago to make sure it hasn't changed since I last looked at it. I've done a couple of tests. I've done down here another, oh, here's something. On June the 5th at 6:28 in the evening, Central Time, I canceled the subscription, canceled recurring subscription for Tobin Long. Why? Because I got an email from our executive director saying, can you cancel the subscription? I just did it. She's not doing that just yet, but she'll be doing that pretty quick. Whatever it was that I did is on that record, and if we go to Tobin Long's record, it will show the same thing. So we've got a good audit trail. We know who does what. Remember, we got now several different people who are into this system, and if some change is made, we need to know who did it and when. Okay, so, oh, pardon, jumping around again. I don't know if it's my electric, can't be personality. Anyway, so contributions, Civi Contribute handles the donations. We're going to have some questions on that a gentleman from Louisiana had asked. Events. This is another distinction for those of you who are here at 1 o'clock and we're listening to LP Nevada. LP Nevada uses Eventbrite. It's a great program, but Civi Event, in my view, does the same thing, and more importantly, it's integrated with the contact record. You want everything in front of the executive director or person who's managing or staff in your business. You want all the information at their fingertips. So we use Civi Events. We had our state convention in April. Every dime of $30,000 that came into that state convention was handled through Civi. They, up on the website, I want a weekend package, I want just Saturday night banquet, whatever it is you want. This was all set up within Civi. Civi Mail, mailings, new mailings, different kinds of reports. New SMS, find mass SMS. I haven't tested out SMS yet. We have not yet brought up Civi Mailing. It's a next month schedule thing, so I'm just telling you we don't have it, but we've seen how it works. Oh dear, error. Let's see what happens here. Okay, the donation. Okay. I'm not sure why this is happening. I'm sorry for that. I should have, I don't know, tested this earlier or done something earlier. What was the question on donations?
I think what I was really asking was, who is the merchant processor and how does that integrate in?
Okay,
with the
so
Civi program?
in this, I'm in sysadmin now and administer, and under Civi Contribute, which has to do with our donations, there are a couple of places you go to answer that question. One is payment processors. Who have we selected to process and how does that work? And I've selected payment processors, and again, I'm waiting for it to come through. We have one payment processor right now, which is authorized.net, this Visa company. And I'm not going to open it because it contains some confidential information, but I am going to go ahead and open dummy processor just to show you how we define that. First, we sign the contract with authorized.net. They recommend, or we can choose our own merchant processor, which is the person who interfaces with us more than authorized.net. We can choose right now in Civi between about 10 different processors. We use authorized.net. You're familiar with PayPal. There's 3 different kinds of PayPal and a bunch of others. So we can choose one or several different processors.
If you use a processor that wasn't found on that list, can you put that in there, or?
I don't know that you can. And we have been through an exercise. Is that right, Peter? Let me just, we're a small group, let me introduce you to Peter Petrick of Dallas, the last person there in the corner with the green shirt on. He is the technical brains behind a couple of things that I couldn't get done, I couldn't configure it, it required some programming. And he understands how Civi thinks inside and out. The main thing that happened that he did for us is although the transactions have been working just fine since last November, we were not able to import the 30,000 legacy records from all of our prior systems. And he was able to accomplish that for us. He's also made other significant contributions in terms of system integrity, which I won't go into now. So anyway, if there's a process for adding a different process, if you want to do that, that's fine. We found operationally, it really didn't make a lot of sense to be accepting donations through Pyrrhix and PayPal and a direct credit card charge and Intuit and cash check money order. One guy even brought in a bag of silver one time. I'm not kidding you. And so you have this spaghetti diagram with 52 different options. And how much incremental revenue do you get by adding Pyrrhix when you already have PayPal? Well, Mr. Thomas, I don't know who recommended that, so I'm going to have to pull his leg since he's here. Anyway, we may add other processes because we can run any number of them concurrently, but we're trying to keep it simple, having learned from how we've handled that before. Okay, so that's the first part of your question. Secondly, that's payment processor. When we go into, let's see, is it system settings, enable Civi CRM components? No, I'm sorry. So we sign a contract with authorized.net. We also sign a contract after I understand what's going on with our merchant processor, which is an outfit in San Francisco. And the money flows, 100% of the donation flows from authorized.net to e-commerce something, the merchant processor. They deduct the discount and they put it in through the ACH. Have I answered your question, or have I gone off the track at this point?
Yeah, I think it's been answered to a degree. Yeah, and Peter was saying that you can add other ones. The reason I asked was because we use Pyrrhix at the present time.
Okay.
Like you were talking about, you want to keep things simple.
Yeah.
You don't have this tree of 52.
Here's the thing. We can use, I call it Pyrrhix, but if it's Pyrrhix, I'll defer to you. I don't know any different.
Pyrrhix, Pyrrhix.
But let me tell you, the thing is,